Well, between the whistles, I'm your host, Joe Chapin. Today, we're going to be talking about the Detroit Lions, and I thought it was very, very interesting that when Dan Campbell came to the podium, he said the hype is unreal, and he basically dismayed it. I thought it was equally as great to hear Jared Goff, Aiden Hutchinson, Tracy Walker, and they all said, "Look, unless we win, it doesn't mean anything." See, for the longest time, I feel like the Detroit Lions have had just absolute buffoonery as coaches. And we don't even have to go back that far. We got Matt Patricia and all that stuff. It's one thing to keep a team under control during the season. That's one thing. Because obviously when you get to the season, you're with them all the time. But when you get to the off season and everyone's hearing the noise, okay, like you can go on ESPN, you can go on anywhere, and they're talking about the Detroit Lions being the playoff pick. Yes, it's a great thing for the Detroit Lions. Yes, it matters. But no, they can't listen to it. See, like, look, the Detroit Lions haven't been a winning franchise. There has not been a point where they've won a playoff game in my lifetime. 29. There's been no point at all where they've been like, close. Obviously, the Dallas game where they could have won it, but they picked up the flag. But even that team was largely inconsistent, and one of the major flaw areas that they had showcased their ass against Dallas with Terrence Williams in the slot with Cassius Vaughn, which Cassius Vaughn, I don't know if people remember that, but Cassius Vaughn had like the highest quarterback rating against that year. And I think he broke like 3 NFL records. I think he was that bad. But when we look at Dan Campbell and we look at Aiden Hutchinson, we look at Jared Goff, we look at Tracy Walker, I think you're starting to see the nucleus of a team that is building leadership as we speak. A lot of people talk about the leadership that happened last year with Jamal Williams, but I feel like leadership can be passed on. I think leadership can be shown, and I don't really think leadership is all vocal. I think it's more work, and you could really showcase your leadership through the way you work. I feel like Dan Campbell exhibits leadership. I feel like Aiden Hutchinson exhibits leadership. I feel like Jared Goff works as a leader. I feel like Tracy Walker coming back from the injury he came back from, that's leadership. And look, no one cares about the Detroit Lions unless they win. Period. We can talk all we want about the the great things that could happen with the Detroit Lions. But the reality of the situation is this. They need to win. Period. End of story. This is a team that has the potential to be a really good team. They have a potential to win a division. There's no one in the division that I fear. The Chicago Bears and Justin Fields, show me Justin Fields completing more than 50% of his passes, I'll listen. The Vikings, no. They got a good offense, I'll give you that. The defense isn't that good. Packers, do we know what Jordan Love is? We know they got a running game. We know their defense can be pretty good, but are they a good team? The Detroit Lions are the only team in the NFC North where you could legitimately say they're a good team. And I like this. I like what I hear from the coaching staff. I like what I hear from the leadership in the room that they aren't listening to the noise. They're going to go out and prove it. And it was Aiden Hutchinson that said, we still have that underdog mentality. And that's the way it has to be. Because when you eventually win, when you do things that, you haven't done before, people are going to look at you and they're going to pencil you in every year as a Super Bowl champion or being in the Super Bowl or being a contender for the Super Bowl. And just like the Kansas City Chiefs, you have to prove it every year. It doesn't matter what you did last year. The Kansas City Chiefs going out in week 1 are going to want to go out and showcase that they are a Super Bowl champion type team for 2023. Years don't carry over in the NFL. So you have to go out and make your own. And I think the Detroit Lions, with the leadership that they've shown, especially with all those comments, it really puts me in a great spot to believe that the Detroit Lions actually had the leadership in place where they're going to make the right decisions. And it was exactly what Michael Brockers was talking about on Good Morning Football that one time. You're going to hear all this noise, and you can't be accustomed to it. And I think that's what Aiden Hutchinson and Tracy Walker and Dan Campbell and Jared Goff are going to bring home to all these guys. Because, listen, one bad apple can spoil the bunch. One bad apple can spoil the bunch. And when you have 4 people in that locker room, key figures of that locker room, that are saying the same exact thing verbatim, it tells me that this is a different culture. It tells me that this is a different team. It tells me that this team is ready to show that they are a legit contender for the NFC. It'll be interesting to watch because I think preseason and training camp are going to be fun. But when we get to week 1, that is going to be absolute bananas. And we're going to hear it here and between the Whistles of Detroit. We're going to keep you all entertained throughout the Lions football season. As we get closer to the football season, you'll hear more training camp observations and notes. You'll hear more commentary anywhere else than you will ever get anywhere else, and it'll just be me. So we'll see you in the next video as we talk more Detroit Lions football.